Ant-Man and the Wasp is the sequel to the Marvel movie they wouldn't let Edgar Wright direct. Ant-Man was a nice bit of fun, but it could have been so much more, and that's about how I feel on its sequel. As with the first, Paul Rudd is the highlight of the film, his witty remarks and lovable attitude are intact, and he plays off the animosity that's developed between him, Hope, and Hank Pym really well. The references to him going off to fight in Civil War without consulting them do more to make the Marvel universe feel connected and consequential, something that each of these films are getting better at over time. An action that doesn't seem like much in the context of a bigger movie can be brought up like it is here, as a far bigger deal to the characters themselves. I really enjoy that idea, and it's one of the best things this film does, because most of the other stuff is kind of average, at least on a Marvel level. It's still better than basically every DCEU film. The cats play their roles perfectly fine. Beyond the primary villain, there's not really a standout, unfortunately. Even Walton Goggins' secondary villain wasn't given much to work with, and this is an actor who is extremely good at playing villains. This one just wasn't compelling or crazy enough for him. The aforementioned villain Ghost is played by Hannah John Carmen, and she does a fantastic job, primarily because she was given a solid character to work with. Walton Goggins fulfills your typical villain role, rich guy who wants more money, works for bad people, etc. But Ghost has more to her. For one, her goals conflict with our heroes, but she's not inherently evil. Honestly, I was leaning more towards her side for the majority of the film. Marvel are definitely getting better at making sympathetic opposing forces. Ant-Man and the Wasp was the last place I expected to see one, especially after how bad Yellow Jacket was, but I'm pleasantly surprised. If only some of the plot points related to this villain were talked about amongst the characters, then the more emotionally driven side of Ant-Man and the Wasp would be far more effective. As it stands, these points are merely used to give some character motivation, not as the fuel for legitimately dramatic scenes that they could have been. The action is much better than the first as well, shot in a way that you can make out what was going on despite it being pretty hard to keep track of when the heroes keep changing size. Every punch is hard hitting, and it's a joy to watch them continue to play with the size of themselves and the objects around them. From cars to salt shakers to Bez dispensers, rather than feeling like a break from the comedy, each action set piece complements the light-hearted theme superbly. I only wish there was more action. What we get here is great, but there are large gaps in between with a fairly lackluster story and script. On a few occasions there was an awkward pause after a line which was clearly meant to be filled with laughter, only it wasn't. The CGI is on the level we've come to expect from Marvel, that being fantastic. Typically when people are CGI'd to be bigger or smaller, it looks incredibly fake, but Ant-Man and the Wasp doesn't have that problem and was impressive to look at throughout. I wish there was more to say without getting into spoilers, but even as my friends and I came out of the cinema, we all agreed it was just alright. There wasn't a huge conversation with it, ooh, remember that bit? We all agreed that the villain was pretty great and everything else was serviceable. Ant-Man and the Wasp was an enjoyable film that I doubt I'll be coming back to.